We return to our intrepid and perhaps not hapless heroes, our motley crew of heroic types, as they take refuge in a warm but sparsely decorated and sparsely kept cave, a hovel, if you will, of the one Ripley Warlock Fiend Keeper Bulgup as their host. Some of you had decided to rest and sleep through the first watch as Karn and the Fiend Keeper turned their attention outward toward the halls and caverns beyond to watch and wait and listen for any creatures that might approach during the eve. Roar, you entered your sentry's rest. You are aware of the things happening around you, but you are effectively inert. Biff, you had found a nice flat slab of stone to rest on, and you find that the ground beneath you is somewhat warm. Bones, as you rest, you found a perch with a cleaved or shaved, worn down slab of rock that is very warm underneath, almost like a heating pad of sorts, as you all unroll your bedrolls or crouch, as it were, for the Warforged. During this time, the Fiend Keeper remains sitting nearby Karn in amicable silence, staring out into the dark. Karn, as you watch, you see this frogman's eyes have turned into an inky black orbs in his pockets, glossy and shiny like tar or oil. His eyes are wide as he watches, and you can see him following something in the distance, focusing on something. As you stare out into darkness, not perceiving much, you get the impression that Bulgup sees a lot. During this time, Verdi, you had set aside to collect your notes and sketch what had happened throughout the day, making notes for later investigation, or to put into possibly your next long journal. Leah, you had taken time to begin copying spells out of the book of Theodore Rayleigh, the late wizard. Karn, it's about half hour into your watch where you notice the Fiend Keeper grow a little antsy. He taps his foot on the ground, pats his knees a little bit, and with a little bit of a smile and a gesture toward you, he stands up and turns toward the interior of the room. I'm going to check in on our guests. I trust you'll be able to keep an eye out. And he leaves you by yourself to do whatever it is you may choose to do. During this time, Leah, you hear the sound of webbed feet kind of flapping in your general direction. With your dark vision and the dim light, and with your keen elven ears, you see Bulgup approaching from several feet away before he even gets close to you, and you see that his eyes are kind of focused on your book. The black orbs have kind of receded. You can see his eyes are returning to the more friendly, vibrant yellow and black frog eyes from before. Not so much the creepy black orbs.
I was going to say he's disengaging his dark vision, but it's not very bright in here.
Exactly. He's disengaging his dark vision. It is dim in here. It is not complete darkness, but it is dim. But you get that take as he approaches, and as he gets close, he kind of lifts his head up a little bit as though to look taller, and also to crane his lack of neck to observe the book you're writing.
I'll shift things just a little bit so he doesn't have to stand on tiptoes to get a peek.
Seeing as you don't shy away, he approaches a little closer, with his fingers kind of touching each other. You are an arcanist, yes?
Leah nods her head, and I generally fall under that school rather than the divine arts.
we noticed things about you when you perform your feats. Uh, you're not like a wizard I have seen before, heard of. You have, he gestures toward his neck, and then gestures toward you where your prayer beads are.
Yes, my spell book's a little untraditional, but it gets the job done.
Are you perhaps self-taught?
Leah sort of like shifts her head back and forth, thinking about how the answer to this. Uh, it's I didn't go to a wizarding school, if that's what you mean. But the art of physics isn't that loosely, or isn't that loose in its regulations either.
Physic. We haven't heard of that term. And he moves and actually sits himself down on the slab of stone beside you, kind of rubbing his chin. I happen to actually grab my notes real quick.
I also have to check something real quick.
Oops.
You can't both check something. It's against the rules.
I know. I fucked up. One second,
Well,
guys.
Biff will just snore louder.
I think I jumbled my character origins sources, so I'm making sure I don't like say this is a plane and that's not a plane and all that good shit.
Yeah. So he watches you and furrows his little brows, and Haglorath, he knows a great many things. Some of these things he shares willingly. Other times it has to be wrested from him. He is a bit persistent. He does not recognize this magic, but he recognizes the where it is from.
Was that where as in a location?
Yes.
I was gonna say
Sort of.
that's me asking DM if that's what I heard.
Yeah, where? Yeah, where as in location, and you get the implication he's talking about planar magic.
I do channel my spells through the plane of positivity, so that might be what he's picking up on.
Yes. To him it is foul. Scathing. He says he's not afraid of it, but he certainly does not like it. But you work with books. This is peculiar.
Well, not all physic wizards work through the positive plane like I do. There's 3 encouraged schools and a couple discouraged schools.
I see. Your magic can how do I put this? Could a tutor teach you to bend this magic? To put them in your And he points back to his chest and then back to your beads.
Are you asking if I can convert my spells to something you can read, or if you could convert something you can cast to something I can cast?
The latter. You see, and he glances around a little bit, and you see his demeanor shift a little bit. There is it was called a gambit, a game, a arrangement between myself and Alporath. His origin is not, or good. But if information, if wisdom can be taken from him, if his presence in this world leads to good deeds, it robs power from him, makes him more manageable. The more good he does, the smaller the fiend becomes. And as he says that, he winces and closes his eyes. And you can see that there's a sharp something that he felt in that moment.
As Bulk Up talks, Leah just sort of like nods at the key points.
I do greatly enjoy bringing people to destinations and helping them through the caves, but I feel I must be honest. I do get more from this arrangement than all of you, I think. Sorry if I have maybe misled you slightly.
Generally speaking, if both parties are happy, then there's not too much harm done.
And you see a bit of a smile across his not so scaly, almost rubbery lips. That is a good way to look at it, I think. So, after a few minutes of conversing, Bolgup looks at the book that you have in question, and I assume you share what you have there.
Yeah, I do mention that while normally I wouldn't have access to Tensor's floating disk, since I have it here in spell form in a wizard format, then I can piece things together and translate it over with enough time and effort.
All right, let me look at your spell list real quick as Bolgup tries to piece together some kind of compatible magic so he can make a good deed for the day.
I was gonna say, generally, if he has anything in scroll form, I can probably work with that.
Okay, so after 4 or 5 minutes of looking through the book and looking at what's in what you have available, Bolgup proposes to teach you a level 1 spell over the course of long rest. He describes it as it is a necromantic spell. It fills a person with a semblance of life through the power of necromancy. It makes you a bit more robust. Algorath refers to it as false life.
Gonna say, is that going to be an Arcana check to see if I recognize that, or?
It's a level 1 spell. No, you would know. You would know this spell. Yes.
I was gonna say I know it, but has Leah come across it?
Leah would have come across this. Yeah, it's basic necromancy.
When Bulgup lists off the name, Leah's ears perk up. Oh, I've heard of that one.
Many arcanists from your world, this world, they petition demons for their great wisdom, and devils as well. Occasionally, fey creatures will worm their magic through to our side through song and inspiration. Many of these spells take on these names. They are universal to the magic folk.
Are you muted?
No, I didn't. He didn't end on a question, so I didn't know if I was supposed to answer something.
Oh no, he's just making conversation. So this he offers you to do that spell as one of the spells that he has access to. It would take several hours to move it into your spell book, but because you're being tutored, you can circumvent the gold cost to learn it.
Okay. If he's willing to do so, I'm willing to learn.
Okay. So Bulgup sits down and he begins to run you through the basics of this spell. He takes some of the notes from the back of the book, and you two spend a good portion of the evening practicing, and basically you are intuiting it as he is trying to teach it, and it's kind of like two method actors trying to back and forth feel their way through what should be a scientific process. It's a little ramshackle, but you can do this throughout the course of your long rest as part of it. During this time,
we're Rosetta Stoning this bitch.
basically, you're trying to find a universal translation for what is a universal magic, supposedly. During this time, Verdi, you would have heard the entirety of the exchange as you and Natasha rest and take your notes. And rolling back a little bit, Karn, you were left to your own devices for a solid 10 minutes. How long does Karn actually wait before Karn does the most Karn thing?
Shortly after Bulgup heads back in, I'll stand and kind of start pacing slowly, watching the darkness, keeping watch.
You are getting real boneless.
Chat is going boneless.
Oh no!
Everyone is boneless.
Alright, hopefully it passes a few seconds.
Not yet.
That's the note.
Should pass in a second. It's getting worse.
Ping is at 96 milliseconds,
Okay.
101, 104.
There we go.
Going up.
And it has passed. There we go. So, Karn, if you can, from the top, just you started pacing?
Yep. Got up, started pacing a little ways from the entrance, peering out into the darkness. I don't have dark vision.
No, you do not.
I'm a bad guard right now. I'm relying on just my passive observational skills to see if I hear anything.
Do you have a lamp or a light cantrip or anything of such? Candle?
Let me check, as it just occurred to me.
I know Warforged tend to pack light because they need nothing to survive, but...
I do have a torch.
Okay. It's up to you if you want to light it or not. You are in a dank, dark cave.
Yeah, I'm gonna light a torch.
Okay. You light a torch.
Maybe find a nice little crack in the wall that I can wedge it into.
Oh yeah, easy enough. You can find a crack right near the entrance, inside or outside of the hovel.
Outside.
Okay, you take a step out into the long, craggly stone hallway, and as you light the torch, you can see stalactites up top. It's rather quite dry in this area.
Yeah. Well, I start to pace around, kind of alone with my thoughts, and my thoughts just keep circling, revisiting recent events and certain memories that are clear in my head and certain memories that I don't want to let go of. Just kind of reflecting for a little bit, and I keep checking back towards the entrance, waiting for Bulgup to return, waiting for Bulgup to return.
As you look
He
in,
is supposed to be
Bulgup
on
is-
guard with me, right? Where
he was.
is the grung?
The elf is stolen the frog.
As you look in, you see that he is most definitely getting cozy with Leah.
I would assume that I'm kind of like away from the entrance while I'm keeping watch and everything, so I have no idea what's going on inside the hovel.
Fair enough.
I assume good stuff. I mean, no one's screaming or running, so we're fine. But he was supposed to be the guard, and I'm getting an itch to do something, and I was hoping that he would be back by now. And waiting, and I'm going to do this for about a half hour.
Okay. A half hour passes and Bulgup has not returned. There's still no screaming.
Kind of edge out a little more into the caves, peering off into the gloom, and I can't really see anything. And I'm supposed to be on guard, and I'm supposed to be protecting my companions, and I know I'm not. I know Roar doesn't want me to, but there are worse things than hurting myself. I know for a fact there are worse things than hurting myself. I'm going to try and wild shape into a giant spider.
Giant spider. Hey, it's a giant spider. Okay. So you take a moment, you steel yourself, and you take a few metaphysical breaths as though to psych yourself up. You don't actually breathe, but there's an ebb and flow of energy that's more or less your pace, your pulse.
And just before I commit to this, as I'm gathering up the energy, I'm going to try and pull up that memory of the woman in green and try and focus on her as I take the plunge.
Okay. Oh wow. As you try to summon the memory, roll me. Actually, I have a stat for this. Roll me only d20.
A D20. Oh, I feel like that feels like an important roll that I'm going to have to do in person.
Box of Doom.
And of course, since I don't actually roll dice in person, this D20 is not warmed up. So here goes nothing.
It's funny listening to Mish lecture us about superstition like 5 years ago.
No such thing as dice gods, and that's a 5.
That's a 5.
It's ironic that you yelled no such thing as dice gods before rolling a 5.
No such thing. You have pissed off Ukatoa, but in dice form. Okay.
Just for the lulz, I rolled again and it was 17, so, you know. RNGesus giveth and taketh away.
Giveth and taketh when it meaneth the leasteth. So, you reach into the wellspring of your memory, and your wellspring is muddy and full of clay and silt, and the spring doesn't really move very fast. It's very much plugged up. And following that analogy, your memory is equally hazy and gloomy and hard to discern. You think back, and the memory that comes to mind, you remember restraint and your backside, your legs, your ankles, your knees. You remember the smell of dead leaves and dirt and soil, and the tension of having yourself partially buried in cool, damp earth, and you remember the sensation of earthworms crawling around in places that they shouldn't be. As you came to, you don't remember how you got there, but as you came to, you realized you had been there for a while, and in front of you, silhouetted against this canopy where light filters through, you see this humanoid shape, broad of shoulder and round of form. You remember exposed skin, shoulders, dark tan with freckles, you think, and a round face, but with the light peering through the trees, you only see this haloed effect of frizzy, dark, reddy brown hair with wisps of white. Really scraggly, really wide, and all over the place. But you can't remember the face. It's shrouded in this darkness, this gloom where your eyes are adjusting between complete darkness and this new light that kind of filters through the canopy. You remember hearing this smile in her voice, but can't remember her voice. You can't remember her face or her features, just this silhouette of this, not rotund, but thick-bodied person with this wild hair and this loose kind of cloth made out of greenery and leaves and brush, almost like a ghillie suit of sorts. Very much a wild person. And you remember their arm reaching toward you. Thick, digited fingers, kind of portly, short fingers with grimy, brittle nails, and this calloused, strong hand that grasped you by yours. You remember being pulled, and that's where the memory zips out of your mind. Just ends there abruptly. And you go to transform. You pull that surge of power from the green to you, and many legs plant down on the stone surface. Your eyes, all 8 of them, open up into almost absolute darkness, save for the torch behind you. And you hear this very faint rattling inside of your expanded carapace around your chest and abdomen area on a spider? Not the thorax, it's an abdomen, right? Yeah, sure. That sound almost like sand rattling in the bottom of a engine. You can still hear it, but you have assumed the shape, and you're not in pain that you know of.
Not in physical pain, at least.
Not in physical pain, at least.
There's a moment as I just kind of squat in the darkness, and now I can see. After a moment, I raise my 2 front legs in a "I did it" gesture.
You signal the spider signal for "I did it," and you can see quite a distance as a spider. I think it's 120 feet of dark vision.
Let me double check. I know it's at least 60 feet. Yeah, it's only 60 feet of dark vision.
Oh, that was way off. It's blind fight 10 feet. That's what it is. Yeah. So you look out into the darkness, and you don't see anything in either direction. This cave is very well and truly vacated. You guess it may be due to the fact that Volkup has made his presence here. You can't really gauge why. Perhaps this area was safe, and so he put his hovel here, or perhaps because his hovel here, it is safe.
I'm going to back up more so I'm back inside the torchlight, and I'm going to settle down. And yeah, I'm just going to hang out, keep watch. Can I get Sentry's Rest while wild shaped?
think you can't rest well in wild shape.
Then after like a half hour, I'm going to change back.
All right, a half hour passes while you contemplate things. You focus on that memory a little bit as bits and pieces start to rapidly evaporate. You find it hard to focus and hang on to it.
You can short rest in wild shape. It's just I think long rest gets different rules because you're in a different form.
Can you maintain your wild shape for the duration of your sentry's rest? Can it last 6 hours?
I was
No.
actually just checking up to see how long it lasts.
Yeah, if
Should
that's
be-
the case, then
It
yeah,
should be
you could.
4 hours now. I think it's half your druid level.
So you can engage most of your sentry's rest. You will have to break it as you transform back. That'll interrupt your sentry's rest, but you can jump right back into it.
I kind of proven a point to myself, so after like a half hour, I'll shift back into my normal form and just sit down in the middle of the cave entrance with the firelight kind of burning at my back, lay my spear across my legs, and kind of gaze out into the darkness.
Sure thing. So as you do that, Verdi, are you up to anything?
Well, I was listening to Leah and Bolgar?
Bulgup.
Bolgup chatting with each other. Verdi took some notes about what they were talking about, gaining some interest in the topic. But if there's a pause or an end of discussion, Verdi would like to ask Bolgup more about the caves, like how long has Bolgup been here for? How deep do these caves go? Is there a lot of danger?
Okay. All right. Yeah. So during the spell casting and the teaching, there are moments where Bulgup sort of lets Leah kind of improvise and try her own thing with the manipulation of her physic. And as Leah begins to manipulate her magic, you do see that he shies away from her, seemingly repelled by some unseen force. Not harmed, but just kind of, yeah, she's going to do her own thing. During one of these lapses where Leah is taking the reins, you do catch him, and he regards you.
Oh, you are the ranger. Hello. I don't think I got your name.
Verdi.
Verdi. I do not see a speck of green on you, but to each their own.
He kind of shrugs and right, I lost my train of thought because roleplay happened.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You had a list of questions, so you can just start asking questions in character if you want.
Well, the first thing Verdi would have asked is basically how long has the Bulgart been here for?
Well, in these caves, it is very hard to keep track of time. I do come to the surface about once a season. I believe 20 years.
All right. And Verdi would also ask about how deep these caves go. Like,
Impossibly deep. There are places where you can feel the air press down upon your ear pits. It is terrifying and exhilarating. There are great caverns filled with crystal clear water. There are moats of boiling magma. And there are crystal caverns. Very pretty to look at.
Verdi would question about like if there's any dangers, Are there any more like anomalies of the elemental planes leaking through this place, or was that particular room just special?
Well, what you call an anomaly and what your monk friend, the Biff, called a confluence. I do not know. There are places of power, places of magical importance. Yes, there is the sleeping giant is the biggest one, but there are places deeper down. Let me see. I once encountered a place deep within the depths of this cave system that was bright to the eyes. Phosphorescent fungus pockmarked the entirety of this grand expanse, and within this land there were enormous mushrooms. They all sang as one. They thought and felt and talked. They keep to themselves, but there is power in their colony, power in their unity. I cannot say if there is an elemental quality to it, but it is certainly powerful. There is also the domain of...
My memory's failing me. Hold on 1 second.
The domain of Ulex, the demon of fungus and slimes and wriggly things.
Okay. Would Verdi be familiar with mushroom people, or would I have to roll for that?
You can roll a nature check, or an arcana check, or a history check.
I'll go with nature. That's 16.
16. You have not read about this type of phenomenon, but you have adventured with a great number of people during your times out doing field work and off of Nyanzaru. You have heard tales. You've heard people whisper about colonies of fungal people, people who are not fungal infestation, totally different story, but of sapient colonies of mushrooms, of fungus, all linked together as a sort of hive mind. It's a far-fetched, kind of hard to believe idea, and the people who you have heard it from tend to be a little insane. It sounds like, it would be the equivalent to you of people talking about alien abductions. Kind of out there, kind of far out, kind of hard to believe. But maybe there's a nugget of truth to it. And with Bolgup telling you about this, it's like, oh shit. Real shit?
Okay, so that may shed some light on the rumors. Maybe the rumors are less rumors and more strange tales. Verdi wants to learn more about the sleeping giant. What exactly is that? Is it like more clusters of stone, or is it just a strange place of power?
As you propose your question and ask, is it this, is it that? Bolgup shakes his head several times, and he looks at you, and you see his eyes are not wide, but there's this graveness that sort of settles into him.
No. The sleeping giant is no geode. No, it is a tomb. A great opening in the caves where grand columns eroded from years of water have created great tall spires, all of which have collapsed into these Chrissy and crossing.
He takes his arms and makes sort of like an X shape and another X shape.
Criss and crossed bars that keep a great slumbering stone creature buried and sleeping. It is buried up to its waist in sand. If you go, you can look up and see the sky above, within the cracks of the stone ceiling. Whatever happened, it was up there, and now it is down here, and the caves seem to have swallowed it. It does not move, but it has the face of...
He kind of opens his palm and makes a grasping gesture at his face, and then pauses and points at Biff.
like his face, with the square and nose and eyes, empty eyes. Sculpted, I think, or perhaps it was born that way. It sleeps, and as it dreams, many whispers can be heard. Perhaps nightmares, I cannot say. Algorath, he will not let me go to it. He is too scared. No, you are scared. Yes, you are. Don't act tough to me, you little... No, he is scared, trust me.
And he winces a little bit, and you feel as though it seems as though he felt a pang of something, the way that he squints and closes one eye.
Okay. So Verdi will definitely be taking notes of things to come back and visit on once Karn is looked over, because it seems like no one else is gonna let them explore further because of Karn's condition, despite Karn's pleas no, I'm fine.
I mean, like, when your friend needs open heart surgery, maybe you do the open heart surgery, then go on vacation.
I mean, that's what it seems like it, but...
Yeah. So you get that information out of Olgup, and he seems, as the conversation continues, you see that he doesn't bounce, but you see there's this sort of levity and giddiness that comes across him. And thinking back, you recall the conversation you had with Leah about just being hopeful. This seems like he's enjoying the transaction that's happening here.
Well, I mean, the guy hasn't really talked to anybody in God knows how long. Visitors are rare. So if he's been down here for about 20 years, how long ago? Did he mention how long ago the dwarves were here?
About 15 years ago.
Okay.
He mentioned he led them out, and they came back in and didn't like him very much.
Oh, of course not. They're dwarves. Alright. So I'm gonna do some notes, and if anything else comes up, Verdi will ask.
Alright. Volgup nods in your direction, and he smiles, and...
If there is anything else you would like to know, or if there is wisdom you seek from darker places, you know where I am.
You mean the thing that you live with?
He gives you a nod.
I actually had ideas we discussed earlier, and I completely forgot. I have to look at what we said to each other earlier.
All right. Well, keep in mind you can also ask him things potentially before you leave and head out for the morning.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up. You can move on to somebody else so they're
Sure,
not
sure.
waiting for
So-
me to backlog.
All right, so Verdi, you kind of consider a number of things, realizing that Bulgup has access to a fucking demon, a creature from beyond this world who may be able to get swindled out of information of the cosmos. With that burden of knowledge, you turn in for the night. Needing your full 8 hours of rest. And Leah, after the course of about 2 hours, you managed to copy this spell into your spell book. You now have access to False Life as a level 1 spell.
Nice.
So that's cool. Karn, after about 2 hours, Bulgup has not returned. But you do hear conversation in the background with your disgusting passive perception.
Yeah, I'm completely kind of like I'm in passive mode for the rest of the evening, just sitting in the same position in the middle of the entrance, out a ways, torch
your
behind me,
sentry's
staring in the
rest.
dark.
That's right. What is your passive perception?
Like a million.
It's like
22.
21, right? 22, so 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17. Yeah, even in Sentry's Rest, you'd still hear a bit of this conversation. Occasionally, Bulgup grows quiet, but of course, because people are sleeping. But even then, with your passive, you are hearing most of this conversation. So time passes. Karn, 6 hours go by. Your Sentry's Rest comes to an end. You feel that you are feeling pretty hale and healthy. Your spell slots return. You get back half of your hit die.
It dies.
And at the end of your long rests, that one hit die that you had been short returns to you. You feel a wholeness inside of you.
That I felt that part of me go when I first bonded with Kai, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's enough to kind of wake me up from my rest.
All right, so you are up. It is at around this time that Roar, you would have woken up a little while before that. Leah, you would be coming out of your trance at around this time. And Bones, I think you need 8 hours, so...
Yep.
Yeah, at around the time that shortly after Karn comes up and a little while after Roar wakes up, you would start to wake up. And Bones, as you come to, that song that you had heard within the tavern in the tree, it is still playing in your mind. You wake up with that sad, melancholy, slow cello tune, just sort of weaving between your waking mind and the dreams that had followed you home.
Yeah. Last half of that dream was a bit rough. I'm just gonna sit up, rub my eyes, shake my hair.
Anything because you're not pushing.
So the last half of that dream was pretty rough. I'm just gonna sit up, kind of rub my eyes, shake my head, and my ears make that like flippy noise.
Cat's gonna cat.
Do a nice big stretch, and hop off of the shelf that I claimed.
Right, you hop off the shelf and you find that the Fiend Keeper is he has his attention turned out toward the door and out toward Karn. And though he's kind of seated closer to you all, his eyes have turned black and inky as Leah has gone into trance and Verdi has gone to sleep. Biff, you too would begin to wake up at around this time.
Okay. Just a quick look around to make sure everything's still.
Yeah.
No. It's fireworks.
Oh, you stopped transferring.
Oh,
It's fireworks.
yeah. He would
Stop.
just like look around, make sure everything's cool.
Stop.
A nod to whoever's up and just start stretching.
No.
All right, you get to it. You get into your physical activities, Bones. You do a cat stretch. You don't really need much. You don't really need much to limber yourself up. You are cat. It's kind of born into you.
Biff is gonna imitate Bones as much as possible.
All right, Bones. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. There is a Gilnean man trying to stretch his body in ways that maybe only a tabaxi should do, but hey, it is what it is.
I mean, I'll lead him through my morning yoga routine. I don't care. I'll help. He tried to help me meditate.
Oh man, I love it. All right, so you two spend, your morning routines. Bones, you go through your morning routine. You stretch and you hold the position. And Biff, you're more of a move and hold and strike and hold and twist and hold. This whole moving slow thing is a little new. But I'm going to say you're hale and healthy and dexterous enough to kind of make a good approximation of her movements.
Biff has seen enough cats, probably able to do this correct. Do not fault Biff if not twist upside down and around like pretzel like Bones does.
You'll get there eventually. Uh-huh. Comes with practice.
All right, so while you guys are doing yoga, Roar, are you up to anything this morning?
Roar's doing yoga with us.
Roar's doing yoga
not
with
doing
you?
yoga. No, he is not.
Oh, no.
And just put this in everyone else's head. Now that I'm imagining Biff doing yoga, I'm imagining him just doing that meme pose that everyone's drawing in the.
Yes.
The best one, they're both doing it.
Oh, jeez.
Side by side, ass up.
Yeah, I think Biff
Head down,
I think
ass
that.
up.
Yep. I think you're gonna have to draw that one, Dom, for the memes. But just to double check, the conversation about the sleeping giant was happening in the room, and I would have heard it.
What is your passive perception?
15.
Yeah, you still beat a 10. You hear much, if not all, of the conversations.
Fun. So, as far as Bones like sleeping and such, did I see anything hovering around her again, or no?
The butterflies kind of dissipated after a certain point. Give me a medicine check.
That's gonna be fun.
Medicine. So you think about it, and you follow the timing, and it occurs to you that around the time she hit REM sleep, the butterflies disappeared.
That's very curious.
So many things. Is Verdi currently asleep since they were awake during my?
Yeah, Verdi still needs a couple hours. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, he needs about 2 more hours.
Okay. Then. And Karn is still carning out in the hall.
Karn, what are you up to? Because you're coming out of Sentry's Rest at this point.
I'm still sitting out in the hall, staring out into the caves. Kind of in my own. I've been in my own head for a while.
And was a torch burn for 8 hours? believe it's 8 hours. Rory, you turn your attention out toward the cavern entrance, and you find that there's a torch lit, and Karn is kind of seated. You can see by some subtle shifting in his shoulders that he's not at rest. He's coming out of his sentry's rest. But it appears he is dutifully staring out into the darkness.
Okay. Well, I will. I will go out to check on him, just because at this point everyone else is busy. Might as well check on him.
So, Karn, did you, have you stayed in your shape? This one, I mean?
Good morning, Roar. This one assumes it is morning. It is hard to tell down here. This one tested this one's limits. This one is no worse than this one was yesterday. This one can still transform. This one apologizes, but this one had to know.
That was a very stupid idea, but I do stupid things too.
Karn just nods solemnly.
I put my finger out and I thump his chest at the spot where the heartstone is, or approximately.
I'm still sitting down. Does Roar sit next to me?
I'm not sitting. I'm just in front of.
Just leaning over.
Leaning over, and I thump on your on the chest right where the heartstone is. Behind technically.
I don't understand your shape changing, but if your innards move, it could be possible for the cage that was protecting your heartstone to actually damage it. And I've never heard of a heartstone being broken and then repaired. It usually is the end for us.
I just kind of nod solemnly.
Once we're in a place with less dust, more controlled situation, I might be able to either remove the broken cage, or possibly just get it unstuck and get it reclosed. I'm not sure. I would need a good amount of time.
Roar, give me just a quick intelligence or arcana check.
18.
18. So based on what you've seen so far, and the fact that you were kind of raised in the Lyceum, for what time you had spent there, you had absorbed a lot of knowledge. You were a point of curiosity for several of the Meisters, and as a result, you kind of learned things about yourself and your kind through their constant prodding and poking. With an 18 Arcana, you are fairly certain that you can fabricate a new cradle if you have access to the materials to do so. And you do know that there is a forge, a whole workshop, a area in New Haven that should have ample supplies. With an 18 Arcana, you feel that you are versed enough to fabricate this thing maybe within a couple hours. The only drawback might be potential complications. That would be the biggest time consumer of an operation like this. Which, of course, that's why you need to get out of this dusty cave.
Right. and because my voice is going to last trying to do roar for long, uh, so I can definitely repair or make a new one. I don't know if I might be able to repair what you have, but I mean, if you're sentimental and I make you a new one, I could also just remove the bad one and clean out that area and then give it to you as a pendant. Maybe find something to attach it to. I've never I don't know if you want that PCU still. It's strange.
This one finds many parts of this one very strange. The damage to this one's heartstone. This one does not believe it was done through this one's transformations. This one does not remember things very well.
But the one thing I will note, because I had tried figuring out why you could only say I am Karn when physically the part that does the speaking was just fine. You know, I didn't immediately see any other issues aside from normal damage that we obtained during our duties. But recently, you were jiggling and hopping, and then you opened up your chest and kept moving, saying that there was a new sound. So it's possible that there was something else going on. It's possible that the continued shifting finally dislodged something. So now that it was rattling, or that that something had locked it up and then shattered it finally. It's hard for me to know outside of looking at what I just looked at earlier.
Is it possible for this one's broken chest to affect this one's speech?
In my experience, no.
Roar, with that 18 Arcana, would you like to re-roll or keep your 18?
I'll keep my 18.
Keep your 18.
Don't tempt fate.
Based on that question and based on your Arcana and what you have learned so far, it would not make sense for a broken cradle to cause broken speech. This seems like an Aetherstone problem. The soul of the Warforged, the mind of the Warforged. The cradle can be used it is used, essentially to repel outside etheric forces to prevent certain magical effects from influencing or interfering with the function of the Warforged. It would effectively put Karn at disadvantage for certain very specific tasks, or make it possible for certain maladies to occur to him. It's actually kind of a marvel that he's not suffering from effectively a Warforged disease at this point. There are none that you can think of, but it would be possible for someone without a cradle. The speech, you believe, is caused by the damage you've seen to the Heartstone. With your 18 Arcana, the fact that there is a new jingling inside, it means that the stone must have cracked again recently, which could be the results of why Karn can speak now. Imagine, if you will, peeling a scar off of an already scarred tissue.
Yeah, just a second.
Sure.
No, it's just for some reason Heather's getting a call from her mother on the Amazon, so it's going to be a second here.
Oh, sure. Do you want to take a 5-minute pause? It's about that
Yeah.
time. All right, we're going to break for about 5 minutes while you listen to Cave Bats, and we will come back hopefully after, hopefully not bad news. We'll come back to it.
Yep. We'll see.
Okay.
Yay, break time.
Everyone's laughing at me.
No one, everyone went on break. Because I didn't know what kind of call it was going to be, I was just like, yeah, we're going to... I said, we're going to need a few minutes, and he was like...
Sorry about that, everybody.
Everyone's on break, so there's...
Oh, everyone's gone?
Yeah.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. My dad said you can use Alexa to call Heather. And they were talking about it in the kitchen in not very quiet voices, and so I got a call from their Alexa.
Ah.
And my uncle's moved to town.
He greeted you so nicely with that middle finger. It was...
He did greet me so nicely with that middle finger.
What?
Yeah, he's a dick. So one, he's not that much older than us. So he's like maybe 8 or 9 years older than us, not much. Yeah, he's a lot. He's just a fucking lot. Yeah. No, just same old with him. But then they wanted to chat. I was like, guys, it's 9 o'clock on a Wednesday. And every Alexa in my house went off. Including the one in the baby's room. So if y'all could not call me at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday for anything short of someone died, someone's in the emergency room.
Well, at least everything's fine.
Yeah, there's that. And then they wanted to shit talk my grandmother, and I'm like, okay, great. I still got shit that I'm doing. My dad got the vibe, though, and was like, okay, we're gonna let you go, bye.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I said, yeah, so we've had a toddler with a fever of 102 all week, they were like, oh yeah, we gotta go, bye. I'm like, yep.
Didn't help that some fuckers are setting off fireworks here today for some reason. So the puppies were already being loud and possibly getting close to waking up Liam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Man, I have watched the most recent two What If episodes.
I haven't seen the newest one. Be right back again, real quick.
Back at it at the Krispy Kreme.
I wish there was a Krispy Kreme.
Have we heard anything from Sam and Heather? Is everything okay?
We're back.
Yeah, my dad just mentioned that Alexis can call me too close to their kitchen Alexa. Because he was showing off for his little brother.
I love it. Well, hey,
Back again.
some funny shit.
Yep, and then I'm like, I'm kind of using annoyed mom voice because I was like, I'm missing game. At the same time, like when I ran to go to the kitchen to get the phone call, Vax was like, emergency, I must be there, and jumped over the gate and clipped me at the back of my ankle with his like freaking giant ass toe claws.
Oh no!
So like I'm annoyed and in pain, and they're like laughing, like, and my uncle immediately greeted me with a middle finger because, yep.
That's great. I thought you were dying. Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's 9 o'clock at night.
Who the fuck calls at 9 o'clock at night? if not for an
Y'all are
emergency?
calling me, and I have a sleeping baby who I have not gotten to have a full decent night's sleep in like a week in the other room.
Oh god.
So yeah, my annoyance was clear.
Does annoyed mom guilt work on dads?
On my dad, yes, it worked very well. He's like, okay, well, we're gonna let you go. I know you're busy. I'm like, yep.
Alright, I have to let you go. Oh, you do, do you? Thanks.
I was like, they're like, when are you coming to visit? I was like, probably soon. But Liam's had a fever of 102 all week, so you know.
Oh boy. Oh.
Speaking of.
I thought I heard that.
Yep.
We're still on break for a few more minutes. Hopefully it doesn't, become too much of an issue.
Hopefully he lost his binky.
Is Sam taking care of him?
So Liam only likes me during daytime.
Okay. I thought that was still the deal. Has Sam mentioned something that he would like to do with Roar in case this happens?
Not tonight.
Alright. Yeah, we'll pause for a few more minutes. Gives me time to eat the salad.
Yep. Well, if it makes me feel slightly better about Death glaring an uncle I haven't seen in like 10 years. Actually,
It was
probably
warranted.
closer to 15 or 20.
You earned the death glare.
This is the same uncle who made me like chase him down so he would just be. He's like, "No, we're not coming to our wedding."
Yeah.
The same one who came to town for my graduation and then skipped my graduation to go to an amusement park.
I don't think he came for your graduation. I think he came for the amusement park.
Yeah. And then, I mean, well, it must have been when Sam and I were dating, like maybe when Sam was first in town or first moved here. They came for a visit and like dropped their kids off on us and then just like decided to not parent anymore. They were like, Heather and Sam have got it, and just decided to not parent. So Sam and I were, I mean, we'd known each other forever, we were dating, and now we're responsible for 2 small children.
It's a test run.
I mean, we did good, but still. They're like asking us for treats. I was like, ask your parents. We don't have money to be dropping $8 million on limoncello for you.
Oh boy. Well, so maybe those twin birds were Sorry, maybe that death glare was warranted.
Oh yeah. I mean, damn it.
Of all the people to darken my doorstep with bullshit, it had to be you.
Yeah, and like, he's complaining about living at my grandmother's house, and I'm like, y'all are living rent-free at my grandmother's house. The four of you. I don't think you get that much room to bitch.
What is there to bitch about?
I mean, my grandmother's awful. Like, that whole side of the family is deeply dysfunctional.
Oh, this is a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Well, I suppose while we wait for Sam to come back, I can zoom in on a different.
Bones
That's
had
remotely what I meant, but
Bones had questions for Bulgup, for what it's worth.
Sure. Yeah, Mitch, do you mind putting your side of the game on pause?
yeah, it's fine.
And he's out.
He's out. Okay.
Who's out?
So, Roar's out. Liam is full up. Sorry, Roar. Sorry, Sen. We love you, but you've got a greater calling, and it's keeping this child pacified, because God knows this game will be impossible if Liam stays up any longer. We're going to soldier on. We're going to do it for him. So, Karn, as you go back and forth with Roar, he lets you know that he needs to know for sure what happened to you, what has gone wrong. He does not feel comfortable going forward for your safety without getting your carriage fixed, and maybe investigating deeper into just what happened to your Heartstone, because it is a phenomenon he has never seen before. And while you two debate the finer points of your choice in the matter and his suggestion in the matter, we're going to move back to Biff and Bones. Your yoga has finished up. Bones, you decide that you are done, as cats are wont to do, leaving Biff in a somewhat awkward pose. You come out of it just fine. Biff, you find it's easy to get into it, but hard to get out of it, what with the weight of muscle on your bones, but you managed to pull free. Bones, you mentioned that you were interested in talking to the keeper of the hovel. You do find that Bulgup is staring out into the distance, past Karn, past Roar, inky black eyes, just kind of staring out there.
Yeah, that doesn't creep me out too much. Because that's kind of what I'm asking about anyway, so I'm going to go sit next to him.
Word. You take a spot next to him, and he kind of snaps to, and you see the inky black orbs that are his eyes sort of swirl back as the darkness recedes, and his bright and sprightly yellow and black froggy eyes turn their attention to you.
Oh, hello.
Hello. I'm sorry, I think I need to ask for information that might be uncomfortable to get.
Uncomfortable information. Well, I have been, I am an open book as much as I can be.
And he turns and shifts on his rock and pats his knees twice.
What is on your mind?
So, I'm a bit of I'm a cat, so I'm going to ask a bunch of questions about, and if you just don't want to answer something, just say no, okay?
Well, now I'm feeling prematurely embarrassed. Yes, go do your thing, and I will answer to the rest of my... I'm getting nervous now. Go.
Do you use your... have you ever run around information about a Cambion who came to call?
Cambion,
He pauses and he thinks.
The child of a Baylor.
Child of a Baylor. There's Algorax. What is
he furrows his brow, and you see that there's a very clear frustration before he closes his eyes and winces slightly.
Cambion, that is new to me, but not to him. He knows of Cambions, how they come to be. They are half human. They're from here, coupled with one from there. I'm curious. What need have you of this information?
A very, very, very long time ago, one came to Tikal and, I mean, for lack of better terms, wrecked some shit that I'm trying to fix.
You watch his features as he tilts his head and looks in your direction, and he looks quizzical for a moment. You see the faintest twitch on his lips.
I see. And you want to know more about that specific event? Or
He's known as the Sararak.
a Sararak?
And he actually clutches his head for a moment upon saying the word. And you see him kind of just tap his webbed feet upon the surface of the stone for several moments. Whatever pain racked him subsides after several moments.
He reacted to that. He is... you have gotten Algorath's attention. I fear I cannot extract this information from him. Oh, God's sake. I may need your help with this. I may need the help of several of you, if that is okay with you.
I'm happy to help. And I'll look around. What sort of help would you need?
These creatures, they are cruel things, and they require sacrifice. Not mortal sacrifice. I perished the thought. They require tokens, offerings, gifts, I suppose. A shred. He pinches his fingers and leans toward you some, making this pinched finger gesture. A pinch of what makes you. A small amount of your life can be shed. With it, I can force him up and to the front of my, points at his forehead, mind. He will not be in control, but he would be speaking to him and not me. While out, he would be compelled to answer a question or several, depending on how many of you, he glances across the group, make one such offering.
It wouldn't be the first time I bled for information.
He nods.
There is a chance of failure. An offering could be made and be not fruitful. He could shrug it off. The will of many people at once could certainly improve the odds. You may want to wait for others to awaken, as I can only take one offering per living sapient creature.
I'll nod.
If all 7 of you were to give, that's a chance for 7, 14, or 3 questions, depending, by my estimate. Of course, if Algorath is summoned, you could barter with him instead of compelling him. Deal for a deal. I would urge you to be careful with it. Already he is scheming. I would urge you to be careful with that.
My mother, since I was very small, always told me not to make deals with demons.
It is a wise discretion. They will leave you without a gold to your name. Or worse, no name at all.
He glances around the room and looks at those present and those sleeping. And
the decision is yours. If you would like to attempt this on your own or to wait.
I'll call out to Biff. And I think I don't know who all is interested. I think would be probably Verdi and Leah.
Yeah, when Bilga mentioned, he said there were 7 entities in the room who could offer if they are awake. You know that Verdi would probably be up soon. Leah is awake. So right now it appears that Verdi and Natasha are the only ones who are sleeping.
Leah, I'm hoping to speak with our friend here's friend about the Lich Serac. I was wondering if you could help me.
Would that be an Arcana check to know if, like, my affinity for the positive plane would, like, be detrimental?
You can roll an Arcana or an Insight check.
I'll go with Arcana.
Okay, so with 16 Arcana, you understand that this creature is a demon, so the positive plane of energy would be detrimental to it. However, in terms of bargaining and negotiating, a little bit of intimidation might not hurt. As you understand it, demons are not lawful beings. They answer to the will of whoever is strongest, whoever is more bestial, whoever's got more chutzpah. They make
Might makes right.
Might makes right is a great way to put it, yes. So you don't believe that your presence would be a detriment. You think that if you play your cards right, you may be able to intimidate the creature. You certainly can't persuade it, but you may be able to intimidate it.
Random out of character music. I know you're not afraid of me or anything, but like, I could not be like the sand in your sandals right now if you just like behave. Type deal.
Persuasion. Wasn't coming through. Sorry. Sorry. Am I coming through now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. That is certainly an angle that you can attempt to play.
And would it be an Arcana check to figure out exactly like what Bulgup is talking about if I've heard of this practice before?
You can roll an Arcana check or a History check. It's going to be a high DC.
I'll go with History on this one because same roll. Nope.
This sounds like hedge magic. It's not definitely not something that is studied or documented or well known. It seems like something that might be intuitive or perhaps an art that has been lost.
Well, I'm barely platypus on pricking my finger over this, so
that's a maybe.
the only downside I can really see, assuming that there's no hidden fine print, is that if we all go, then we've all got one shot at this.
From what you understand from what Bulgup has explained is that one offering from a person has a chance to fail. An offering has a chance to have very fruitful results, but he can only take one offering from one person per day to do this. So the more people who are present, the likelier it is that you will get information without having to sacrifice any, without having to make any deals with this creature.
I misheard some of that. I didn't hear the per day portion.
Yes, so this is very much a stack your deck or don't stack your deck. Up to you. So, how do you answer Bones? Are you still platypus, or?
Yeah, I'm still. I don't feel strongly either way. If, for example, hers fails and mine succeeds, am I the one asking the questions, or does anyone ask the questions? Because I don't know if I've got the RP in me to ask the questions.
Right. Bulgup clarifies that anyone present can become the person who asks the questions. If you all shout out at once, of course, Alcarath will take advantage of that and give you a bullshit answer for a bullshit question. But you can decide among you who asks the question.
If Bones wants to, I'll do it. Whatever.
Okay, so Bones, you have Leah's cooperation for this.
Great. Super helpful. Biff, would you be willing to help me with this?
Absolutely. Whatever Bones needs.
All right, we have Biff pledging to aid you. Let's see. Roar and Karn, you guys are close enough to hear most of this conversation. Bones, do you reach out to them?
Yeah, I'll reach out to both.
Okay.
I thought we were outside the cave while that conversation was going on.
Well, Karn, you have a really good passive, so you probably have heard bits and pieces, but Bones does reach out to you guys to ask for help.
I'll just stick my head outside. I have to ask the demon part of Bulgup some questions about demony things. Could get hairy. I could use some help if you're willing.
I am sure. Yes. This one will help.
I feel like Roar would be in it for the knowledge.
I kind of feel the same way too. So Roar does.
I don't want to mode him in my favor, but.
Hey, it is what it is. You've got access to the character sheet. You can make choices for him. That makes sense. He's an Arcanist, and Arcanists often turn to demons for information. just look at Crosp. So you have Roy and Tom to help you out. Verdi is still asleep. I'm going to say that by this time, Verdi, you're starting to wake up. You hear some murmurings. Natasha kind of nudges up against you and pushes and prods you, seemingly interested that something is happening, though she doesn't quite understand what's being said.
I'm coming back into the cave with Roar at this point.
All right. So Roar follows Karn in, and Verdi, you're starting to wake up.
Alright. Verdi is awake.
And Bones, you see that Verdi is starting to rustle at around this time.
Verdi, while you wake up, I am going to ask.
You got really quiet, Heather.
I don't know why. Maybe I'm not turned towards my microphone. Is that better?
Oh, much better.
Okay. Verdi, I'm going to ask Bulgup some questions, but not to Bulgup, but to his, other side. His worst half, if you might. Would you be willing to help me?
Why do you have to pin him down?
Potentially, if things go extremely hairy, but that should not happen. Be gentle with me if you must.
It involves a blood sacrifice, I'm assuming? And I look towards...
It's more of a spiritual
Karn.
sacrifice, rooted in necromantic power. You won't bleed, but you will feel it. Yes.
Does this sound familiar to Verdi? Is this a practice that Verdi may know about?
Roll Arcana or whatever you deem may be appropriate. It's going to be a high DC. You may choose the attribute you choose to roll, whatever skill. That will affect the DC, of course.
I'm gonna go with history just to see if Verdi may have learned something
Sure.
on the way, or maybe like tiefling stuff or whatever.
All right, go for it.
It's a 24.
24. Wow.
I rolled a 16. I got a 7 in history.
So in your bleary-eyed mind, whether it's because you are just so well-versed or because you have that dream logic going on, this sounds similar, at least on the surface level, to a seance with a spirit medium. You know of some, different sources of divination or communication magic to speak with the dead. This is similar in the same vein, where instead of burning an effigy or making an offering to a departed loved one, this is more of a transaction that's happening. It's a lot colder and a lot more straightforward, but the gist of it sounds similar to a seance.
All right, Verdi will nod some, and so I have some questions as well, but I will help.
Many questions. Bear in mind, if you succeed and bring him to the front, some questions will be freely answered. The veracity of them, I am not entirely certain of. He cannot outright lie while under the effect, but if you ask more questions than the offering is accepted, he may begin to lie, or he may begin to bargain. I I will not be able to push him back down until he is finished. He will not have physical control. He wriggles his shoulder some. I don't think. But do be careful. Do not get caught in his words. If you do choose to bargain, do not offer anything that is dear to you. And with that, he sits a little straighter and plants his hands and his knees, then kind of fidgets and folds his hands together and sits straight. When you all are ready.
Alright, Biff just moves behind Bolgup. And just rests there waiting.
All right. So, Bones, you going all in?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So, you guys gather forward, and Bolgup instructs you guys to sort of make a circle around him, perhaps to pounce him if things go wrong, or just to be close enough to make this offer. And he instructs you to hold each other's hands, and he closes his eyes. A few moments pass, and you feel the warmth inside the cave very abruptly snuff out. It becomes cold. The air becomes stifling. You see shadows begin to sort of stretch and lash about in the corners of the room. One sec.
Why is the Bones asking these questions?
Karn has been just quietly following instructions the entire time and not even asking the question until now.
A Sararak, that lich, is a Cambion. It's a type of demon. A half-demon.
Oh.
All right. So, as the room begins to transform and transfigure, one by one, you all feel this pull drawn from you. I need everyone to spend one hit die and subtract the total spent from your HP.
Who?
Got off nice and clean. Biff, not so much. Oh, Karn.
Ow.
Okay. Heather, do you have access to Roar Sheet, or shall I roll?
I do not have access to Roar Sheet anymore.
I'm on it.
You get half your hit dice on a long rest, right?
Yeah.
On a long rest, yeah. So you should have most of those. No, you fucking maxed out last game. So you have half of your hit die back, and you spent one. 4 is HP, subtracted by 9. Wow, roar. Okay. You all feel this cold chill run through you, run through your spines, run through the core of your body, and Bolgup inhales deeply, and his gullet swells up. And let's see what we got. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 64. On the first roll, can someone mark this in chat?
I'll do it.
All right, Bones, your offering. Rolled a 1 on die. -2 is 0. The first offering is a failure. Biff, your offering rolls a 3 on die. -2. There is 1 in the pool. 1 question so far. Leah, your offering is 4 on die. -2. There is now 3 in the pool. Karn, your offering is a 4 on die. There is 5 in the pool. Verdi, your offering lands on 4. There is now 7 in the pool. As you feel your life force shed from your bodies and suffuse this creature, you see dark pockets and pools of light that shine beneath his glossy skin. He twists and turns and furrows his brows. You see in his gullet that swollen, bulbous air sac fills up with darkness. He bellows this growling, guttural noise, and you see inky vapor start escaping from his maw. His mouth is full of these jagged, pointed teeth, and you see on his cheeks these whiskers, haggard and scruffy, had sprouted from his skin. He looks upon the group, and you see his eyes are this inky black void.
Well, that's a kick in the dick. Alright, what the fuck do you all want?
I am Karn.
Oh, roll for Roar. Sorry. Roar. Roar. His offering lands on a 2. -2. The number remains at 7. Algrath looks upon the group, annoyed.
How do you know the name of Sararak?
Straight to the point there, huh? A Sararak. That is an ancient name. Full of piss and vinegar, that one. A Sararak has great ambitions and great hatred. His name is spoken of among the circles of undeath. Had he a shred more ambition, he might be one of the gods of undeath. But we all know that that role belongs to the Prince Orcus. We know his many foul deeds. He is a hungry fellow. There's lots of wicked things on your material planes. Suffice to say, he's a bit of a celebrity. That's 1. You got 6 left before I get pissed.
How did he kill the Baylor?
What makes you think his daddy's dead? Old Sararak is a bit of a cock. Wicked and vain and cruel. I aspire to be just a shred meaner like that fuck. Oh no, Daddy Dearest is locked away somewhere, so the stories go. Serving this little brat would be godling for all eternity. I hear his face is perpetually contorted like one of those demon lords, the icy one, whatever the fuck his name is. That's true.
What is the Baylor's name?
He furrows his brows and glances, and you see for a moment he falters.
Problem with true names is that they're very well guarded. I cannot answer that one. It eludes me. As a freebie, you still got... You still got 5.
Have you seen evidence of a Serac in these tunnels?
In these tunnels, Froggy Boy only lets me see every so often, no. But had I, I'm sure it would be a beauty to behold. Cave dwelling is not his style. He likes architecture. He likes catacombs, traps, and old castles. He's still very much human sentimentality in that regard. I think that brings us down to 4. Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel the little bits of your souls wriggling inside of me. It's downright putrid. So much hope and joy and art.
Guard.
Good eating, though.
What is a Serac's greatest strength?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, he's extremely cunning. I, for one, think his cruelty is top-notch. I mean, the whole thing he did with his dad is incredible. Luring adventurers to their own demise so he can feast on their souls. It's a pretty damn good gambit. Contingency plans. I mean, he's really fucking smart. Really fucking smart. I would say his cunning, second only to his cruelty.
And his greatest weakness?
You
can see his lip peel back, showing up those jagged teeth, and he furrows his brows again.
Well, he shed the last vestiges of his humanity aeons ago, long before this place was even a thought, right? He is prideful, but there's nothing wrong with pride. That's a beautiful thing. I cannot answer that. I do not know him well enough. Only the rumors, and even they speak of no linchpin. Whatever you're looking for. You're at 3.
Biff clears his throat. 2.
get Bones' attention?
He just says it aloud, just like as an aside correction.
Well, no, he couldn't answer the question.
He didn't say it was a freebie. He
Nope.
pointedly said the previous was a freebie.
Yep, he said that you guys are still at 3.
Gotta be vigilant with demons.
Yeah.
Oh, so Biff clears his throat, and Algarath looks at you, and he sneers.
Yes, it's a freebie. Cocky little shit. You, I know you. You're from that continent full of hags and misfortune. How are them potatoes, kid?
Diff doesn't know how to answer, so he doesn't, but he looks a little confused.
How does a Sararak lure adventurers to him?
Algarath cocks a brow, and he smiles slowly.
How does one get a paladin to do what they want them to do? You wind them up and set them loose. You let them know that you are here and waiting. How does one lure the rogue? You tell them you got a nice shiny pile of trophies. And then you let the human heart do what it does best. Fuck up. He seeds the worlds with rumors and promises, subtle things, to gain the attention of those he wants to feed upon.
Where does he summon them to?
Algarath lifts his arms.
Wherever he chooses. To a trap, of course. Where else to lead a fly to, if not the pot of vinegar? One left.
I'll look to the others to make sure they don't have any.
Alright, Bones, you look around, seeming to find the answers you're looking for. Algarath looks upon the group and studies those around him. And as you break and consider the information, just like he did to Biff, he begins to lean and look at those present. He glances at Roar and kind of grins.
Counterfeit.
He looks toward Cure. He looks toward Karn, excuse me.
Failure.
Toward Leah. He mumbles under his breath and turns to look at Verdi.
A child of cursed blood. I haven't seen one of you up close in a long time. You're the spitting image of us.
That's nice. Why is the plane so unstable here?
The brow cocks as you cut immediately to business. He frowns. And he rolls his jaw.
The power of nature pushes against the power of the necromantic. A grand deposit of dark energy lies somewhere on this cursed little rock. The jungle tries to swallow it whole. The jungle dies in the process, feeding that necromantic stockpile. It is a cycle. It is eternal. Perfect little fuck up. The plains, they merely react to that instability. Perhaps it has to do with the grand aether beneath the isle. Who knows? I know that before.
He glances toward you, Bones.
Your target, good old Israk, came here. Things were a lot more stable, a lot more settled. Strange, yes, but maybe a little less interesting.
Algrath cracks his back several times, and you hear this almost sickening pop noise in the frogman's vertebra. He plants his hands on his knees and looks you all over.
Unless you have any more need of me. Or unless I tickle your fancy. Is there anything more I can do for you, sad lot?
Bones will shake her head, but look to the others to make sure that they don't have anything that they want to.
Well, we don't want to piss you off.
Oh, you're already quite past that point. But I have to thank you. It's been a long time since I've been on the outside. Oh, this form disgusts me. Before this little puke, I was enormous. Robust. If only I could wrap my hands around his stupid fat neck. Kill us both, I would. Finally, I'm released from this torment.
Oh, you'll like it, Ted.
You seem rather self-assured, Gilnean. What makes you so certain I might like it here? What offerings can you give to prove it? Change my mind, I dare you.
The fuck would Biff do that for?
He lifts his shoulders and glances askance of you.
I don't know. Perhaps you're not as stupid as you look. You'll never find out.
So as Algarath taunts and toys, is anyone actively? Well, let's do this round robin style. Bones, what's going on in your head right now?
Bones is satisfied with the amount of information that she got.
All right.
She's not looking to push further into making any deals.
All right, Bones, you're satisfied. Leah, what's going on in Leah's head?
Would it be a perception check to figure out what he mumbled about me?
Perception or insight?
I'd go with perception because that's actually trained.
All right.
Nope.
Oh no, he mumbled something in a language you don't understand.
Did I understand it?
Verdi. Yeah, you get the impression, well, he says something along the lines of creepy, dagger-eared woman. Biff, what's going on in your head?
Biff is just here to punch Bolgaff in the back of the head if the demon acts up, so he's chilling.
Okay. Verdi?
Verdi's Never thought they would talk to a demon, but here they are.
Okay.
He has some more questions, but they've reached their limit, and he doesn't want to risk him being a cock about it.
Okay. Okay, so Biff. A few moments pass, and Elgarath looks back toward you as he begins to sort of dust his shoulders, as though preparing to leave or exit, and he takes a through the nostrils.
By the by, rather interesting, rather fine work you did. With Grathos. Top-notch work.
He leaves you with that and glances at Verdi.
And if you ever find yourself in the neighborhood, kid, you'll find we're not so different. Your kind and mine. Maybe next time you come around, I can help slake that thirst for knowledge of yours. It could be beneficial to both of us. Think about it.
The black eyes close, and the swelling of Bulgup's neck sucks back in. And after a few moments, Bulgup still in silence, remaining seated, the warmth begins to steadily return to the room. The dimness of the lights blossoms back up as light fills the room, dim as it is, again. And the blackness of his eyes recede as he opens them back up.
Oh, it's a nightmare in there. It is a nightmare in there. Is everyone okay?
Biff gives a thumbs up. All is well here.
Oh, good. Bones, did he try anything? Did he do anything untoward? I did not see or hear anything while he was out.
He was as pleasant as a demon can be expected to be, I think.
Oh,
all things
good.
considered.
That is, I will mark that down as good behavior. He's rather quite insane. That you're not shrieking is probably improvements, maybe.
He played a bit gross.
Bulgup nods and scratches the back of his head and nods in your general direction, looking you all over, seeming to double check and triple check that everyone's limbs are intact.
Right. Well, I think that is enough summoning for the day. Shall I lead you back to the surface now?
Yes, and thank you, and I appreciate you giving us this chance.
Absolutely, it is. It helps. The more good he can do by accident, the closer we get to being finished again.
And he gets up off of his rock and dusts off his shaky legs and reaches for his staff. So, as Bulgup prepares to lead you guys back out of the cave system, what is everyone doing as you digest the information and prepare?
Biff is gonna hang around Verdi. Just like biffing around. just like in their business.
Karn's not sure what to make of the entire experience, but he's going to nod sagely at its conclusion and stand up and see about making sure he has all of his things packed up.
All right. You guys, you get good to pack up. Bones, you just getting ready with everyone else?
Yeah, packing up, kind of deep in my own thoughts.
Okay, cool.
Combining
cool.
what I learned yesterday with what I learned today.
Yeah. All things considered, as far as a demonic summoning goes, you guys did pretty well. No one is too worse for wear. Some of you were feeling a little sick in the tummy, but aside from that, no blood was shed. Not much blood was shed. You all gather your things, pack up your bedrolls, and prepare for the long journey back the way you came. Bulgup leads the way, mostly quiet, but he is amicable as always, and does offer an ear to those who speak to him along the way. While you guys make your way through the long trip back to the surface, does anyone talk amongst each other? Does anyone ask the Fiend Keeper anything to clarify or? I'll take that as a no. Okay.
Yeah, no, Karn, I was thinking for Karn, but I think he's being kind of quiet and contemplative, and most of the answers he needs to his questions he expects to find back at town rather than down in the caves. He's still curious about the sleeping giant, but it seems a little less important to him right now.
Yeah, we want to make sure everybody's gonna, live through whatever giant scorpions they might end up angering. Sleeping giant can wait for that.
All right. So, as you guys traverse the caves, you do make your way back through the cave fishers' domain. You're careful to avoid their filaments and move among their nests carefully. No one is caught along the way. Back through the slowly elevating tunnels, steadily higher and higher through pockets of warm air and pockets of cold air, you find yourselves back at the large gash with the rushing water between them. It doesn't take you guys long to traverse it. Some rope is used. Biff, you can clear the distance with a jump. You aid your allies across from one side to the other. Bones, likewise, this jump is easy for you to make. Really, it's just a matter of getting rope and getting people across, and you guys pull through that without spending too much time on it. Eventually, you make your way higher still, passing by the clusters of mushrooms that you've encountered before, through the bat cave, and eventually, you start feeling warm, dry air brush across your faces. You start to see a pinprick of light in the distance, and you follow it steadily upward and upward out into open air. The desert in which you enter into is warm, not stiflingly so, but it is warm and it is dry and familiar. This is the same cavern entrance that you had come through before, and the Gripply habitat is not too far from there. Bulgup follows you out and takes a step aside, allowing you guys to move beyond the cave.
I think it is, this is our stop. Thank you for visiting, and should you find yourself in the area again, I will be happy to lend aid however I can.
We might be back.
I should hope so. You have been excellent company.
There is things to explore here. If not us, there will be others.
Oh, I will expect
out there as he scratches his head a little bit and nods in your direction.
I look forward to it.
You've been an excellent host. Biff is happy to have met you.
And I happy to meet you, and you, and you, and you.
And he just looks you all over and gestures in your directions.
You have brought color and vibrance to my abode.
Give him a thumbs up.
All of your help has been greatly appreciated. Thank you.
You are truly most welcome. Be safe. Be well.
Biff cannot be both things at once.
I am told humans are very versatile things. I would urge you to try.
So Bulgup stays behind as you guys gather and move forward. It's not hard to navigate your way through the. Let's see here. What layer am I on? Map layer. There we go. It's not hard for you guys to navigate. You guys make your way first through the narrow ravines and out into the open expanse that is the Gripply habitat. You find that the frog folk are in their mud wallows, and they appear to be basking in the sun as you guys pass through. They don't seem to pay you much mind as you come through. In fact, it looks like they are conserving energy or just aren't aware of your presence currently.
Biff takes a small pause as they're walking and looks over the area, a bit nostalgic for the short time that they were with the Barrows, and just imagining it playing in the mud with all the frogmen.
Yeah, there's a Barrow-shaped depression where the Barrow once was, mucking about with the mudfolk.
Oh, Biff is going to miss little guy.
Little.
What did you say?
Little.
It's term of endearment. Not worry much about it.
As you guys banter amongst yourselves, you do see that one of the frog folk does catch. You do catch their attention. Upon a tall, flat rock, you discover that Mother Bogwin is up there, and she has spotted you guys as you approach. She lets out a deep, bellowing croak.
Guards.
Welcome. And she waves in your direction. Come to wallow, or just passing through?
Oh, Biff and others are just passing through. Must seek attention for one of our allies. So we are going back to the home.
Take care for one's close to you. What of the creature, the barrow?
We have sent it away into another plane. It will be happy where it is. Plenty of mud, plenty of insects.
Creature nods in your direction, seeming to accept your explanation. You have met the Fiend Keeper, yes?
Yes, we have.
He is well?
Is well, perhaps one of you or yours could visit him once in a while.
Perhaps. Should you see him again, tell him to visit. Come for air. We miss you.
Biff chuckles. Will do, will do.
We are pleased. Travel safe.
It promised to do as safe as possible.
With that, Mother Bogwin nods and gives you her blessing to pass. None of you linger. So you guys pass through the Ripley habitat and make your way steadily, never eat soccer waffles, eastward through the dunes and through the ravines. Sorry, Caesar's having some difficulty with a dragonfly. I have to help her, apparently. Be back in a sec. Something very awkward is happening outside. Hold on.
Slay the bug.
Awkward outside?
It's probably a big old lace wing.
Every time, apparently, Cece went to open the door, a dragonfly got really active, and she didn't want it inside.
I was gonna say at this time of night it's probably a lace wing, not a dragonfly, but yeah.
Maybe. So, yeah, rabbit dragonfly biting people left and right. So, back to the
Cats
game.
must be happy.
Cats will be happy if they can eat it. So, you guys travel out from the ravines and into the dunes, and the air that buffets against you. You sense that there's a change. It's not as hot today. It seems like the desert is a little less harsh, and you don't know if the weather is changing, if another season is approaching. Let's see.
Can Biff, is there anything? Well, Biff assumes that it has to do with having taken the heart of the world. You know, surely they affected the local temperatures by, messing with the elementals' energies around here.
Yeah, go ahead and roll a perception check. 18 perception. So you search out across the dunes and you look for the stony adobos and the various stones around you, trying to connect yourself to the world and kind of feel it out. And you search for evidence of the grand changes. In the distance, you spot a pair of figures. From this far away, it's hard to sense who it may be. But as you watch these two walking through the sands, you discern red fur, tails, and rounded ears. You see what appear to be tabaxi in the distance. With an 18 perception, they both appear to be females, members of the Red Clay clan, presumably.
Okay, well, it's not enough to tell them much of anything. Just that a couple of tabaxi, they decided that tonight or today wasn't too hot for them to go for a jaunt.
Yeah, it seems you spotted a couple of travelers out in the desert. The desert itself is still, sand as far as the eye can see. The dunes are still duny. The stones are still stony. The air does feel a smidge cooler than before. You guys aren't growing exhausted immediately from entering the open air. But you do spot some travelers.
I wave.
How overtly do you wave?
I raise one hand over my head and just wave it.
Okay. Karn, you wave and you try to gain the attention of these distant folk, and they don't seem to notice you.
Biff sees Karn doing this, You wanted their attention?
Just saying hello.
Biff shrugs, lifts his hand, and waves it a bit more wildly. Hello! Khan says hello! This is Khan!
I am Khan.
1 second. Biff, as you start bellowing out and trying to call for attention, you seem to startle one of them. They both turn in your direction, and you see one of the backs reaches and tugs on the shoulder of the other. They turn their attention toward you, and one begins to walk, and the other begins to walk, and then you see as the one on the left kind of breaks from her companion and begins jogging toward you. As the woman gets close, Biff, you immediately recognize this is Stitch of Fabric. Her smooth, scruffy head painted with the intricate marks of the Red Clay Clan. She is not dressed in the scant desert clothes that you recall seeing them in before. They appear to be wearing more on their body. You see satchels and a pack over her shoulder. It's not quite armor that she's wearing, but it looks like she's wearing a traveler's vest, as does her companion. She closes in and waves her hand. Mr. Biff, Miss Bones, all of you. Wow. Hello.
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 It feels like it has only been yesterday since I have seen you. Serendipity in the sands. What brings you up this far? How did your thing go?
The thing went very well. And he sweeps his hand to the general behind him without barrel. We have sent it away to a place where we believe it will be happy.
She kind of scratches her head quizzically. You wounded creature. I thought you were fighting some kind of battle.
This is the task after the battle.
Oh. Well, I take it went well then. You're all alive? It is great news. Mr. Biff and Bones and all of you, come. We have seen something out here. Very interesting thing. Strange. I have never seen anything like it. Come this way. And Biff, she reaches and takes you by the wrist and starts to lead you off.
Okay.
As your ally is abducted, I would assume you all follow.
Yeah.
Okay, so a very excited Stitch leads you to her traveling companion. Her companion informs you that her name is Violet String. She is very similar build, and Bones, you recall her as the one who would not stop giggling at Biff and her, and the whole interaction.
Yeah, that seems
her friend
right.
falling for a human. Yeah, they're buddies, they're pals. And she is also dressed in this traveling attire. It's decent desert wear, but it looks a little thicker and a little heavier. And so the two lead you across the dunes and through the desert and toward this ridge of stones in the distance. And you travel eastward for about a half hour until eventually she leads you between a channel in the stones. And as you crest through this outcropping, this outcropping in particular, as you round across this giant stone, you observe this expanse of descending flatlands, pockmarked with rocks, where you see plethoras of these tiny little green speckles all interspaced across the sand. you see what appears to be small shrubs that have grown up out of the harsh, dry patches of earth, and what appears to be grass that is very grown in very large, wide patches. In the dry season, we almost never see grass or patch or hay. It is not the season for this, and this area is never been so green. I have never seen anything like this before. Violet, have you seen anything like this before? No.
Biff immediately remembers everything that Broken Earth had told them about, the confluxes and how elements were concentrated and messed up. And, how everything they did definitely did affect the landscape. And he just nods sagely. Well, hopefully everything that has happened and this new green growth, it does not throw things out of whack.
This is still a ways out from New Haven, too, right?
This is a ways out from New Haven. Karn, you do not believe this is part of your spell.
The thought had crossed my mind.
It's a little too far away for that. But it is. It's a strange phenomenon. According to Stitch, this was dry earth.
To explain it shortly, there was a force that probably made things too much like desert out here. We have subdued that force, and perhaps things will be slightly more green, and the living will be slightly less harsh.
As you talk, Stitch does that thing where she kind of strokes her hand across her head as though to adjust her hair, and there is no hair there. Folds her arms and shifts on her hip to kind of nod and listen. And you get the impression that she's listening and maybe nodding a little too much.
Yeah.
This is the things that they teach you among the dragon tribe, the black dragon.
Is it Black Dragon? Because I can't remember anything.
The Expedition Commission is the Black Dragon Expedition Commission. Cool. Bones had introduced them as the Black Dragon Tribe, or the Dragon Tribe.
Oh, she kind of said Black Dragon Expedition, and they were like, "Oh, the Black Dragon Tribe." She's like, "Yep, I'm not correcting this. This is fine.
Yep. No, remember.
This is a perfectly acceptable translation. I have seen worse mistranslations on the other side, so."
So Biff is gonna hear Black Dragon Tribe, and he's gonna open his mouth, close it, give her a confused look, then put it together, and yes. But more like what Biff's fighting friends have taught Biff. But Black Dragon Tribe is knowing about things too.
She looks at you quizzically and kind of balls her fists and unfolds her arms and makes a brief gesture with her hands as not quite shadow boxing. She doesn't quite have the finesse or understanding of it. So they teach you to magic by fighting? A fighting magic?
It's not magic. It's power from within.
Okay, but this thing will teach you about how the desert turns into not a desert and how the stones speak to you, and the fighting will teach you to do this.
Yes, but you have to learn how to sit still first.
Crosses, just points at fucking words. Biff points at Bones. It's yes, that.
Dago? It is funny we run into you. We have decided to maybe do a little traveling ourselves. Maybe check out how things are with the Dragon Tribe and see what they can teach, and maybe break bread with the Darkmoon Tribe. We will be heading north through the jungle and see what we find.
Biff's brows lit. It is very good. Very good idea. Good to see you and yours getting out and about and perhaps exploring the world more.
If you give me a moment, I can write you a letter that helps introduce you to people.
Oh, that would be joyous. Yes. Yes, please. That would be most helpful.
I'm gonna give them a quick look to look at their gear and see how well set up they are for that particular journey.
Sure. You look them over and you do find that a lot of their gear is it is woven gear. There are some hides, but not exactly armor attached to them. They look like they are suited to be able to run away from something if they run into trouble. Stitch does have a dagger at her hip, and it is a very long dagger, closer to a machete. And Violet String does have a couple of daggers on herself. They have more water skins than probably they need. And their packs are fairly full for several days of travel. It looks like they have thought this out.
Okay, I'll just pull out while I have my I'll pull out my fountain pen and just start writing a note to Muriel. And do you have things to protect you from the bugs?
From the bugs? The Ankeg? It is out there too?
You think to give them incense?
I have a bug veil, I think, a tent that you all both could share. There's these very large bugs that will suck the blood out of you.
They both look very surprised and a little frightened by this. All of the blood?
A good chunk of it. And she will hand over her tent / bug veil.
Okay. Violet takes it. She's a little less encumbered than Stitch is. And Violet nods in your direction. Lucy?
I'm looking. I have the camp kit, but I don't. I do have an incense block. He's gonna. Anyone else have incense just in case we need it?
Verdi will raise their hand.
Okay. And Biff gives them his one incense block. In case you come across a time you need to be out and about and the giant mosquitoes you burn this incense. It will be bad for your nose, but it's better for your body than the insects.
It smells so bad.
Oh, it is strong medicine.
Yes. Biff apologizes.
Well, better have a burning nose than a bloodless body. I would not like to become a skeleton. No, that is not ideal. Thank you.
Biff would not like that either.
So I'm going to write a note. Actually, I'm probably going to take a couple minutes. I'm going to write letters of introduction to Muriel, as well as that the really friendly Goliath and gnome pair, whose name I can't find at the moment.
Okay. God, neither guy. It's Whittlewood. Not Whittlewood.
He wishes you were Whittlewood.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'll have to look it up, but yes, you
And they're at camp. Which camp?
That is at Camp Righteous.
Yeah.
Those two, absolutely. They will absolutely. You have a good feeling that they will set these tobacks in the right direction, especially with the letter of recommendation.
Yeah. So, and I'll hand them. This is for. There is a very, very tall man and a very, very short man. They're at one of our camps called Camp Righteous. They will be happy to help you, give you more supplies if you need it, things like that. The Dundugger brothers. She'll hand over that.
Stitch takes Stitch takes the parchment, nods in your direction, and smiles wide. And then she opens her arms and kind of attempts to clasp you into a hug.
Oh yeah, Bones allows hugs.
With all the familiarity of a distant cousin who you have not seen.
We're cousins now. It was already declared.
It was already declared that you're kin, and she is just going all in, pulling you in, and you hear this rumbling in her chest.
Yeah, Bones can't help it. She purrs too.
Beth, you are next to the loudest purring machine yet.
Beth is just smiling.
It is just
So
a perpetual purring motion machine.
All right, and this one is from Muriel at the port city. She's a good friend.
Muriel. Doggo, I will find this Muriel. I will give her this, and she will help me and find it.
Yes. She's the most useful person in the city.
The most useful. Oh, it is intimidating. I shall strive to make a good first impression. I cannot thank you enough. We'll be heading north. Ons, thank you. Mr. Biff, hopefully I see you in the future. Who knows? Maybe I will be throwing punches and doing the magics.
Biff looks forward to seeing you again.
She smiles, and her ears are kind of like a little low, and her tail's kind of low and bashfully. She nods in your direction, clasps your hand again, and she moves in close, bows her head to touch your forehead with hers, and stays there for a few moments. She breaks from that momentary gesture, nods, and begins to turn. We are going this way. Good luck with your endeavors. Be careful. The desert is still hot, it's still dry, and deadly.
Take care of yourself as well.
She nods, and Violet nods, and the two of them begin to break away from your group, leaving you in front of this grand savannah as they head north.
After a wave to their back, Biff looks up and around. Well, as great as it was to see them, hopefully this does not take us too far off our path. He looks to Bones. They're still making good time to where they need to go, yes?
Bones, you've been traveling more or less eastward. You guys have, you diverged to go northeastward. Easy course correction, will probably add about a half hour to your travel.
Yeah, it's fine. We can definitely. It's not too far out of the way. Worth the view.
Indeed. Biff wishes Biff had a way to capture this moment, this view, send it to Broken Earth and Biff family. Alas, Biff will have to only settle the stories and the memory.
You'll have to learn how to paint.
Biff is not so good with the artwork.
Alright, as you lament at the moment in time, lost forever without some kind of apparatus to seal moments in time forever, you begin to hear a ginger sneezes in the distance, and the winds of fate are none the wiser. You begin to travel eastward, following the path, more or less, toward Haven, or New Haven, rather. It's a long travel. It takes you a couple hours, but eventually you start to see the wooden palisade that surrounds the entirety of the colony. The first thing you notice is that beyond the palisades, The verdant and lush and overgrowth spans out from the walls of the city. It is almost a mile long as you guys approach. It cuts into the tracks that the folk had left. It breaks up from the earth, and among this expansive green and verdant growth, you see a number of people are outside. People, wearing only their overalls, shirts, tied up around their waists. They appear to be busy at work, with sickles in hand and buckets and bales, apparently pulling items and not items, but vegetation, vegetables, edible things from this enormous garden that stretches out. You see in the distance the proving ground is completely overgrown, just lush, as what appear to be shrubs are now growing up and out of the stonework. Bones, you actually see what appears to be the beginnings of a tree starting to come out of one of the stone corners. The mercenaries who once wandered around the upper portion, the upper parapets, they're nowhere to be found as it is completely overgrown. As you approach, you see one man is among those who are working this new field. Tall, with weathered tan skin and a brimmed hat. You recognize him as Deadwood, Jeremy Deadwood, the local farmer and druid. As you approach, he pegs you guys from a distance, lifts a hand to hail you, and begins to approach at somewhat of a quickened pace. He's a bit of a distance away, though. Those of you who are watching those till and work the fields, you do see that there are a number of people who are sturdy of build, who you estimate may be members of the Flaming Fist based on the various scars and somewhat rough and tumble look. No one appears to be wearing armor among them, but some of them do have the look of some of the mercenaries you dealt with. Karn, you notice Jenkins is working the field, and he seems to be in his element.
Jenkins, is that the guard that I didn't get along with?
The one that you pissed off and intimidated? Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see you found something productive to do.
Yeah, he appears to be working. As you guys approach, Deadwood jogs in toward you guys, and he lifts off his hat, holds it at his side, and kind of dusts himself off a little bit with it.
Well, there's been a momentous couple of days. I take it y'all have been productive on y'all end?
If not, the group has been very busy, very, very busy. As you see, is no barrel behind us.
I can see that. Well, we've been plenty busy here. Seems this field is good for more than just fertile soil. It is growing product, and people are going to get fed. Livestock's going to get fed. Mr. Khan, I don't know what you did. I have an inkling of what you might have done. But all this, and he gestures out toward the fields. This is a hell of a lot more than my green thumb could have done with fertilizer, I'd say that much. Come along. I've got some things to talk about, though. And he pinches at his nose and kind of leads you back toward the city. And he glances over his shoulder and kind of flags Bones a little closer. Not away from the group, but closer. That problem y'all had with the little vermin, the gross little lizards, we went and took care of them. As mentioned, as humanely as possible, they're no longer an issue. The Craig Splitter folk were very keen on taking the frozen corpses and treating them. From what we estimate, they can do something with the meat. It ain't going to be pretty, but it'll be edible. But they were very interested in the hide. I guess the leather's quite good for whatever they might want to do with it.
It's been taken care of. But points at the proving grounds. It would seem that we have uncovered a spring underneath the proving grounds. Mr. Khan, he glances toward you, Khan. About that creature you left behind.
I'm already starting to move in the direction of the proving grounds.
All right, he's leading, and you start to overtake him. And now I don't want you all to get too excited about it, but there was a bit of talking in between Hood and me, and he follows you as you kind of start marching forward, and then kind of start jogging forward. And he is not as spry as he used to be. You guys watch as Karn moves forward with purpose toward the proving grounds. There's the front entrance, which is still busted as fuck. It seems as though the remainder of the Flaming Fist mercenaries have removed the door that they had been trying to fix after the place got transformed into a giant nursery. Karn, you're the first to slip through the entryway and in toward the proving grounds, and immediately the scent of wet, of moisture and moss, you don't notice at all because you can't smell anything. But those behind him, as you guys chase and follow after him behind Deadwood, you can smell the wetness in the air, the water. Deadwood kind of starts to falter on his words as he follows you, Karn. And as you enter into this area, you find that the spring that had been in the corner is now more of like a small glade. Several small saplings have begun to grow and twist around this crystal clear pool, which now is very wide and appears to be very deep. Now, there's certain things that I don't quite entirely understand, but whatever happened when you were casting your magic, creature, she mentioned that she would have been in she had felt some kind of pain from it, and I'd been keeping her company. And as he kind of mutters and speaks to himself, you approach the glade and look into it, and as though sensing you, you see the reflection upon the pool start to shimmer and change as something emerges from beneath. At first, you see that little snout of Kai start to poke out of the water, and then it lifts up out of the water. Her face resolves into something slightly larger, with these keen and intelligent-looking green eyes that you don't quite recognize. Her head now bears this frill atop the top that runs long ways along her body, which has grown in size. She's still small, but she's no longer a tiny creature, a serpentine in shape. As you stand at the foot of this glade, you see that upon her length, a set of small, articulated arms have formed upon her chest, which is now a chest more than just a long noodle of snake. This serpentine creature bears her marks and her colors, but as she glances at you, you see that her face has changed, and she watches you for several long moments before inclining her head. Welcome back, Karn. We have much to talk about, I think. That's what we're going to call it tonight.
I want to hug her.
Oh, someone had a growth spurt while you were out.
Say again?
Someone had a growth spurt while you were out.
It seems to be. Yes. Something has changed to your familiar. And I would like to note that you, upon approaching this, do come to the realization that you now have nothing attuned to you. Your attunement slots are open. Your hit die has returned to you. Kai is no longer bound.
Karn has a lot to think about.
Oh yeah, and held to action hug. I'm going to hold you to it. So we will pick this back up in approximately 2 weeks. Unless the fates decide to do something weird, or unless you guys want to pick up right after. It's whatever you guys want to do.
Oh, before we go, what's the spelling on the name that the demon's like good on you for dealing with so and so that way?
Grathos, Grathos. Name that Bones should recognize.
Oh yeah, that's the
Oh, yeah.
demon that Biff punched to death.
Oh yeah. Nearly strength drained Bones to death. Got punched to death by Biff.
Figured I'd ask, because, like, I didn't know what that name was. Maybe he's being
Yeah.
snarky about something in the caves, maybe not.
No, that's what happened earlier while you were out with Verdi talking to Xylurus in his elf form. Biff and Bones had gone and cleansed the Temple of the Raven Queen. That's when we had that, like, the party split 3 ways, and we had, like, 3 different not dungeons. Oh man, that shit was so
Mini
casual.
quests.
Mini quests. Here we go. Yeah. Cool beans. Thank you guys for sticking along with game for so long. It ran a little long in the tooth, but I did want to get to a part where I could end. So thank you again for sticking around. Sorry about the starting a little late, but next time I'll try to aim for 7:30, closer to it. 8 at the latest, of course.
Yeah, sorry about baby shenanigans. It's been a week.
Yeah, I can dig it. It happens. All right, well, I'll be
Sounds
available
good.
in IMs if you guys need to clarify or have any questions. And
All right, thank you for game.
Yeah.